Think your family's weird? Get ready to meet 101 traditions that make yours look tame. From lobster fashion shows and bacon parades to turkey PowerPoints and backyard Olympics, these American families have taken tradition to the next level of madness. Let's get into it. 1. In Kentucky, there's a family that takes their love of fried chicken to the next level. They reenact the invention of KFC every Thanksgiving. Full costumes, fake Colonel Sanders beards, and yes, someone always gets cast as the secret blend of 11 herbs and spices. Honestly, it's a grease-stained Broadway show. 2. A Minnesota clan insists on eating their Christmas dinner entirely in silence. No talking aloud until the last bite of pie is swallowed. One wrong word and Grandma resets the meal. It's like holiday dinner crossed with a hostage negotiation. 3. Down in Texas, one family turns 4th of July into a full-on Wild West duel, but with water guns. They even build a fake saloon facade in their yard. Grandpa's been the reigning sheriff since 1998, and yes, there are real wanted posters. Backyard lawlessness at its finest. 4. In Maine, there's a tradition called lobster whispering. Every summer, one family gathers on the dock to speak to their dinner before it hits the pot. Supposedly, it's to thank the lobster for its sacrifice, but honestly, it looks like a seafood seance, or the lobster version of a TED Talk no one asked for. 5. An Ohio family celebrates every single Groundhog Day by dressing up like Punxsutawney Phil and digging random holes in their backyard. They don't even check the weather. They just vibe with the earth and hope the neighbors don't call the cops. 6. There's a New Jersey tradition where a family holds an annual spaghetti eating contest in formal wear. We're talking tuxedos and ball gowns completely trashed by the end. Bonus points if you can slurp noodles without staining your cummerbund. 7. A family in Oregon has a reverse Christmas where everyone exchanges the absolute worst gift they can think of. Highlights include a single shoelace, a jar of used pickles, and once, a taxidermied squirrel in a tutu. Ho-ho horrifying. 8. In Florida, one family's Easter tradition involves hiding plastic eggs full of hot sauce. Finders have to take a bite of a spicy snack before they can keep hunting. It's like Easter brunch meets a frat house dare, and honestly, it's kind of genius. 9. A Utah family celebrates every birthday by setting off fireworks inside their living room. They swear it's safe because they only use sparklers, but their ceiling looks like it survived a minor war. Nothing says happy birthday like a smoke alarm serenade. 10. In Illinois, there's a family who refuses to celebrate New Year's Eve at midnight. Instead, they set their clock 6 hours ahead and toast at 6 p.m., then go to bed early. They call it grandpa time, and honestly, kind of brilliant. 11. In Alabama, one family insists on blessing every new household appliance with holy water before using it. Toasters, vacuum cleaners, even the Wi-Fi router. No device is safe. Their motto? If it's gonna serve us, it's gotta be sanctified. Honestly, somewhere there's a very confused priest wondering why he's performing an exorcism on a NutriBullet. 12. In Vermont, there's a family that spends Halloween dressed up as pilgrims. Yep, not witches or ghouls. Full-on 1600s Thanksgiving cosplay. They claim it's more historically accurate. The kids? Traumatized and definitely not invited to the cool parties. 13. In Nevada, a desert-dwelling family has a bizarre tradition of doing a full rain dance every New Year's Eve. Indoors. Buckets of water get thrown around the living room while blasting weather reports on full volume. Their record? Causing $3,000 in water damage and exactly 0 actual rain. 14. In Pennsylvania, one family's Christmas tradition is to build a gingerbread replica of their own house, but they smash it with a hammer at midnight. Apparently, it's symbolic of crushing the year's bad vibes. Honestly, therapy might be cheaper than all that royal icing. 15. In Montana, a ranching family celebrates Father's Day by hosting a literal dad rodeo. Dads ride lawnmowers in obstacle courses, wrestle inflatable cows, and compete to see who can grill the perfect burger in under 60 seconds. The winner gets a golden wrench and eternal bragging rights. 16. In Rhode Island, there's a family that watches Titanic every Valentine's Day. while sitting in a kiddie pool filled with cold water. They say it's to fully immerse themselves in the love story. Their neighbors say it's to fully flood the living room carpet. Again. 17. In Mississippi, a family invented something called the Driveway Olympics. Every 4th of July, they hold events like garbage can discus, mailbox shot put, and, yes, a flamingo-shaped piñata bash. The prize? A trophy made entirely of duct tape and regret. 18. In Colorado, there's a family that skips traditional Thanksgiving turkey and instead roasts marshmallows over a giant bonfire. They claim it's to honor the pioneers, but really, it's just an excuse to make s'mores the size of dinner plates. 19. In Wisconsin, a family tradition involves dressing their dog as a giant cheese wedge every Packers game day. They even let the dog predict the score by barking at numbered balloons. So far, their furry friends' predictions are about as accurate as most sportscasters. 20. In Arkansas, one family celebrates birthdays by throwing the cake at the guest of honor. The messier the smash, the luckier the year ahead. Last year, Grandma got hit so hard with red velvet, she looked like an extra in a horror movie. 21. In New Mexico, a family does an annual cactus hugging contest to prove their toughness. No medical records have been shared, but local hospitals say they now keep extra tweezers on hand every August. 22. In Georgia, there's a family that refuses to open Christmas presents until someone successfully flips a pancake, with their eyes closed. Some years they don't open gifts until December 28th. Santa's patience tested. 23. In Idaho, one family's Easter tradition is painting potatoes instead of eggs. They claim it's more authentic to our state's spirit. Honestly, hiding potatoes in the yard is next-level carb commitment and makes for a surprisingly heavy egg hunt. 24. In Massachusetts, a family recreates the Boston Tea Party every July. They fill their kiddie pool with iced tea and dramatically throw in bags while chanting, "No taxation without hydration." The kids love it. The HOA, not so much. 25. In Oklahoma, there's a family that celebrates the first snow by building a snowman inside their garage. The rule is it has to stay there until it fully melts. Their record is mid-March, and their garage smells like wet mittens for weeks. 26. In North Carolina, one family hosts an annual porch-sitting championship. The goal? Sit on the porch and do absolutely nothing for as long as humanly possible. The current record? 26 hours, 17 mosquito bites, and one epic farmer's tan. 27. In Michigan, there's a family that replaces Thanksgiving turkey with deep-fried pickles. No explanation, no logic, just a giant pile of crunchy green weirdness. Their motto? If it ain't brined, it ain't dinner time. 28. In Washington state, a family holds a ritual every spring where they whisper compliments to their garden gnomes for good luck. One year, they even threw a full birthday party for Sir Sproutalot, their favorite statue. The neighbors stopped making eye contact after that. 29. In Virginia, there's a family tradition of turning their entire backyard into a haunted trail every summer. Not for Halloween, just because. Imagine mowing your lawn next to a skeleton in July. Their mailman still hasn't recovered. 30. In Louisiana, a family celebrates Mardi Gras by holding a bead-off. Everyone competes to make the weirdest necklace using anything but actual beads. Last year's winner? A full string of baby carrots. It was festive and weirdly crunchy. 32. In Kentucky, one family refuses to touch a single bite of their Thanksgiving dinner until the turkey is formally introduced to the table, complete with a full PowerPoint presentation detailing its life story, farming background, and unique flavor profile. Yes, there are slides, laser pointers, and even polite applause at the end. The turkey, of course, remains unimpressed, and the mashed potatoes go cold every year. 33. In Alaska, one particularly fearless family holds what they proudly call the annual Polar Bear Challenge. But instead of plunging into freezing water, they opt to sprint around their backyard in swimsuits during sub-zero temperatures, waving sparklers and chanting, "We fear nothing," at the top of their lungs. Typically, the whole spectacle lasts about 45 seconds before everyone bolts back inside, shivering, swearing, and questioning every life decision that led to this moment. 34. In Arizona, a desert-dwelling family has perfected the art of marshmallow roasting by doing it on the scorching hot hood of their car in the middle of summer. They proudly call it natural solar cooking. And last July, their marshmallows caramelized in just 12 seconds flat. The downside? Their bumper now has a permanent crust of melted sugar and smells like a campfire from a parallel universe where car parts double as kitchen appliances. 35. In Missouri, one family celebrates Labor Day by turning their backyard into a competitive arena for what they call the laziest human contest. The rules are simple. First person to stand up loses. In 2022, Uncle Rick claimed victory after napping in a lawn chair for a record-breaking 11 hours straight, while the rest of the family got into an intense debate about whether blinking too often counts as physical exertion. 36. In Connecticut, a family commemorates their ancestors' immigration story every 4th of July with a reenactment that involves paddling across their backyard pool on inflatable unicorns. They insist it's a deeply symbolic tribute to their heritage, but according to their neighbors and the increasingly frustrated HOA, it's mostly just an excuse to yell at each other while tipping over in chlorinated water. 37. In Wyoming, Easter is anything but traditional for one family who dresses up head to toe as giant prairie dogs, complete with fursuits, whiskers, and handmade burrows constructed from cardboard boxes. They spend hours prairie dog watching in absolute silence. And while they claim it's to honor nature's small wonders, their neighbors mostly think it's just a yearly audition for a low-budget wildlife documentary no one asked for. 38. In Tennessee, one family has taken karaoke to a whole new level by hosting an annual silent karaoke night. The twist: everyone must mouth the lyrics dramatically without making a single sound, and the winner is crowned based on who can deliver the most emotional and over-the-top performance. Last year, Aunt Sharon's silent rendition of Bohemian Rhapsody was so intense that her eyeliner ran, despite no one hearing a word. 39. In South Dakota, Halloween becomes an intense, borderline terrifying family event when Grandpa, dressed as a raggedy scarecrow, spends the entire evening hunting down his grandkids throughout the house. The rules are simple. If you get caught, you're forced to eat a spoonful of horseradish on the spot. It's basically hide and seek, but make it a horror movie and add a side of trauma. 40. In New Hampshire, one family has a tradition of eating their April Fool's Day dinner completely backwards, starting with dessert and working their way back to soup. One particularly savage year, Grandma secretly filled her famous ice cream sundaes with mashed broccoli, causing a table-wide existential crisis and sparking months of trust issues that still come up at family therapy. 41. In Illinois, birthdays are less about cake and more about courtroom theatrics in a family that stages a full-on birthday trial every year. The birthday person is declared the defendant, and family members present fabricated charges like crimes against clean rooms and excessive screen time. After an intense trial, complete with wigs and gavel, the verdict is always the same: guilty of being awesome. The tradition, utterly absurd. The commitment, Oscar-worthy. 42. In California, summer officially begins for one quirky family when they kick off their indoor watermelon seed spitting tournament. Competitors launch seeds across the living room with laser focus while dodging furniture. And while the winner walks away with a plastic tiara, the real prize is the deep, unspoken regret of whoever's on mop duty afterward. 43. In Nebraska, a family with a flair for the unexpected insists on wearing matching pajamas every 4th of July. But instead of the usual patriotic stars and stripes, they opt for wild animal prints like tigers, zebras, or last year's showstopper, flamingos. Their explanation? America is about freedom, and nothing says freedom like neon pink bird pajamas at a BBQ. 44. In Hawaii, one family is famous, or infamous, for loudly greeting every single sunrise with a booming "Aloha sun" chant. No matter where they are, beach, hiking trail, dentist's office, if the sun's coming up, they're shouting. Tourists think it's a sacred ritual. Locals mostly just shake their heads and order another coffee. 45. In Delaware, winter becomes a battlefield of breakfast when one family holds their annual Cereal Olympics. Events include rapid-fire milk pouring, precision Cheerio stacking, and the notoriously tricky synchronized slurping round. The grand prize? Eternal bragging rights, a plastic gold spoon, and occasionally, an unexpected visit from a lactose-intolerant cousin. 46. In West Virginia, a family has perfected the art of holiday conflict resolution by scheduling a pre-pie argument every Thanksgiving. For exactly 15 minutes, everyone airs their grievances in a full-volume debate, and when the timer dings, it's instant hugs and an immediate pivot to pumpkin pie. Honestly, this is next-level emotional engineering. 47. In Minnesota, a family is so devoted to their holiday spirit that they refuse to take down their Christmas tree until every single pine needle has fallen off naturally. Last year's tree held on stubbornly until mid-August, at which point the living room carpet looked like a scene from a forest crime drama. 48. In New York, an apartment-dwelling family decided that birthday parties in cramped spaces weren't chaotic enough, so they started hosting their elevator party tradition. That's right, balloons, music, party hats, and cake all squeezed into the building's tiny elevator. It's a hit with the kids, and an absolute nightmare for anyone just trying to get to the lobby in peace. 49. In Kansas, a family with a love for DIY engineering celebrates birthdays by launching balloons off their roof using a homemade catapult fashioned from broomsticks and old trampoline springs. No one's entirely sure where the balloons land, but judging by the occasional angry phone call from across town, they've got quite the range. 50. In Indiana, Valentine's Day turns adorably awkward when one family dedicates the entire evening to reading heartfelt love poems to their pets. Fluffy the hamster once endured 12 consecutive sonnets while sitting in a tiny chair, looking increasingly traumatized and, judging by the photos, deeply reconsidering his life choices. 51. In Maine, because apparently Maine can't help itself, there's a family that takes lobster obsession to absurd new heights by hosting an annual lobster fashion show. Picture this: live lobsters decked out in miniature hats, feather boas, and tiny sunglasses parading across a tiny red carpet. Last year's theme was crustacean couture, and, well, let's just say PETA's legal team is probably still catching their breath. 52. In Montana, one family swears by their tradition of carving a giant ice sculpture every Christmas, using nothing but butter knives and pure determination. Last winter, they ambitiously attempted a life-sized reindeer, which slowly melted into what can only be described as a vaguely deer-shaped puddle of crushed dreams by Christmas morning. 53. In Florida, a family's Halloween ritual involves dressing up as various Florida man headlines. Last year's winning costume? Uncle Pete, shirtless, wearing swim trunks and wrestling an inflatable alligator in the front yard while screaming, "It's my emotional support reptile." The neighbors still haven't recovered. 54. In Oregon, there's a family that refuses to eat pumpkin pie unless it's first been blessed by being waved over a burning sage stick. They claim it enhances the flavor and purifies the vibe, but mostly it just makes the entire house smell like a hippie bakery on fire. 55. In Nevada, one family hosts an annual desert disco in their backyard every summer solstice. Picture lawn flamingos, strobe lights, and Great Aunt Marge doing the robot in 110-degree heat. Last year, someone accidentally barbecued a disco ball. No one's quite sure how, but it was spectacular. 56. In Georgia, a family celebrates the first day of spring by throwing spaghetti noodles at their front door to see if the new season sticks. If the pasta doesn't stick, they claim it's a bad omen. If it does, well, now they've got a door covered in spaghetti. Either way, someone's breaking out the hose. 57. In Utah, one family takes their camping tradition to wild new levels by insisting on sleeping outside, in their own backyard, in January. Sub-zero temps, frostbitten toes, and dad roasting marshmallows over a candle inside a snow fort. We're building resilience, they say. Child Protective Services has questions. 58. In New Jersey, there's a family that starts every Thanksgiving meal with a dramatic reading of Yelp reviews of turkeys. Last year, cousin Nikki found a one-star review complaining that the bird was too bird-like and not festive enough. The turkey didn't comment, but the laughter lasted all night. 59. In Colorado, one family refuses to celebrate birthdays with cake. Instead, they bake an enormous brownie shaped like a mountain, complete with frosting avalanches and tiny gummy bear hikers. The best part? You're not allowed to cut into it until someone successfully summits by planting a toothpick flag. 60. In Texas, there's a family that holds an epic barbecue every Memorial Day, without cooking any meat. Instead, they grill fruits and vegetables exclusively and forcefully remind everyone, this is what real cowboys ate. Somewhere, a ghostly cowboy sheds a tear over his missing brisket. 61. In Michigan, one family's tradition involves making a human pyramid every Christmas morning before anyone's allowed to open presents. The catch? Grandma insists on being on top. Last year, the pyramid collapsed mid-jingle bells, sending ornaments and Grandma flying. No one was hurt, but the tree didn't survive. 62. In Virginia, a family celebrates birthdays by dressing up in historical costumes from different eras. One year, it's Victorian ball gowns, the next, full Viking armor. Uncle Frank's toga malfunction at the Roman-themed party is still spoken of in hushed, horrified tones. 63. In Idaho, a family hosts what they proudly call the annual Potato Olympics, featuring events like speed peeling, mashed potato sculpting, and the legendary raw spud shot put. The grand finale, a synchronized potato dance around a bonfire. The carbs are strong with this one. 64. In Maine, yes, again, there's a family that has a bizarre tradition of taping googly eyes onto every single lobster before cooking them. They claim it lightens the mood before the inevitable boil. Honestly, it just makes dinner feel like a horror comedy crossover between Food Network and Pixar. 65. In Oklahoma, a family celebrates New Year's Eve by writing their resolutions on slips of paper, stuffing them into balloons, and then popping them at midnight. The twist? Whoever's balloon contains a resolution they don't want to do has to perform it on the spot. Last year, Grandpa was forced to attempt a TikTok dance at 12:01 a.m. 66. In Minnesota, one family's tradition is to throw their Christmas tree off the roof as soon as the holidays are over. Bonus points if it lands upright. Last winter, they nailed a perfect landing, and the tree stood proudly in the snow until April, like a piney little monument to bad decisions. 67. In California, there's a family that hosts a silent night feast every Christmas Eve. Everyone eats dinner in complete silence while wearing headphones playing their personal favorite holiday music. The result? A bizarre mix of swaying, humming, and Cousin Jerry accidentally belting out Mariah Carey mid-bite. 68. In Alabama, one family refuses to celebrate Easter unless their backyard egg hunt includes at least one hidden live chicken. The tradition started as a joke, but now it's serious business. Last year, it took 2 hours to find the runaway hen, who cleverly hid under the trampoline. 69. In Pennsylvania, a family has a bizarre Valentine's Day ritual where everyone writes anonymous love notes to inanimate objects around the house. Last year's most romantic letter was addressed to the coffee maker. You're hot, reliable, and you make my mornings worth living. Honestly, same. 70. In North Carolina, there's a family that insists on throwing a goodbye mosquitoes party at the end of every summer. They dress up as giant mosquitoes, spray bug repellent at each other, and toast marshmallows while loudly declaring, "See you next year, suckers." The irony? The bites usually come back before the party ends. 71. In Arkansas, one family believes it's bad luck to cut their hair in January. So every New Year's Day, they braid each other's hair into wild, intricate styles and wear them proudly all month long. One year, Cousin Brenda's braid was so massive, she got stuck in a revolving door at the mall. 72. In Illinois, a family closes out every Thanksgiving dinner by watching a PowerPoint presentation titled The Year in Review, complete with graphs showing who was the most annoying relative, pie charts of dessert consumption, and even a slide ranking bathroom hogs. Last year, Grandpa proudly won Most Dramatic Exit after storming out over a pumpkin pie dispute. 73. In Louisiana, one family celebrates Mardi Gras by dressing their pets in full-blown parade costumes and having a miniature float procession through the house. Last year's float featured a Yorkie dressed as a tiny king on a throne of beads, pulled by a dachshund wearing a feather boa. The cat, trailing behind, plotting revenge. 74. In Washington state, there's a family that won't touch their Christmas stockings until they've performed an elaborate group stocking dance around the fireplace, picture stomping, clapping, and chanting "socks before snacks" like it's a pagan winter ritual. Honestly, it's both confusing and hypnotic. 75. In Mississippi, a family starts every 4th of July party by singing the national anthem, backwards. They say it keeps things fresh, but mostly it sounds like a patriotic exorcism. Neighbors once called the cops, thinking it was some sort of cult gathering. 76. In Nevada, one family's summer BBQ tradition is a bit unorthodox. They build a full-scale sandcastle in their driveway using imported sand. Last year's theme was Medieval Vegas, complete with tiny slot machines made of Legos and a drawbridge that broke immediately. It took 2 weeks to get the sand out of their car tires. 77. In Alaska, a family insists on taking a midnight sun selfie every summer solstice, even if it means hiking to the top of a hill in their pajamas at 1 a.m. One year, they got photobombed by a moose, which has now become the family's unofficial mascot. The selfie? Legendary. 78. In South Carolina, there's a family that hosts a backyard Olympics every Labor Day, but every event is made up on the spot. Highlights have included fastest hot dog build, slip and slide long jump, and the infamous wheelbarrow of shame race, where losers had to ride backward while waving a rubber chicken. 79. In Vermont, a family refuses to take down their Halloween decorations until the first snow. One year, it didn't snow until January, so their yard was a delightful mashup of skeletons, jack-o'-lanterns, and Christmas lights. A festive nightmare that confused every delivery driver in a 10-mile radius. 80. In Texas, a family rings in the new year by smashing a piñata shaped like the old year's number, always stuffed with the weirdest possible prizes. Last time, it rained down beef jerky, googly eyes, and tiny plastic cows. The message? 2023 was wild, y'all. 81. In Delaware, one family refuses to throw out their Thanksgiving leftovers until they've turned them into at least 3 different new dishes. Turkey tacos, stuffing waffles, cranberry smoothies, you name it. One year, they even made turkey popsicles. Never again. 82. In Kentucky, a family celebrates every wedding anniversary with a vow rehearsal, where the couple rereads their vows, but with edits based on the past year's grievances. One time, it escalated into a full-blown roast session, and Grandma nearly dropped her wine laughing. 83. In Oregon, there's a family that insists on doing a pre-feast workout before every holiday meal. Picture everyone in ugly sweaters doing push-ups and burpees in the driveway while the neighbors film it for TikTok. Bonus: last year, Uncle Steve pulled a hamstring lunging for the dessert table. 84. In Florida, a family turns Valentine's Day into a full-on Love Olympics, featuring events like chocolate fondue wrestling, speed dating, with strangers invited via Craigslist, and the wildly popular Cupid's Arrow dodgeball. Every year, at least 1 injury and 0 regrets. 85. In New Mexico, one family hosts an annual desert treasure hunt on Christmas Eve, burying wrapped gifts all over their sprawling backyard. The twist? Some are decoys. Last year's prizes included a cactus in a box and a rock painted gold. Grandpa still hasn't forgiven them for the glitter bomb. 86. In Michigan, a family insists that their Easter bunny costume must get upgraded every year, so it gets bigger, weirder, and more terrifying with each iteration. This year's suit? 7 feet tall, glowing eyes, and, no joke, robotic arms that handed out candy. Kids screamed, parents drank. 87. In Tennessee, one family kicks off every summer by making fruit suits, DIY clothing made entirely from duct tape and real fruit. Last year's winner wore a full watermelon helmet and a cape of banana peels. The ants? Thrilled. The cleanup? Biblical. 88. In California, There's a family that refuses to put up their Christmas tree until someone successfully assembles a gingerbread house that doesn't collapse. One year, it took them 2 straight days, 6 glue guns, and enough swearing to make Santa blush. 89. In Idaho, a family starts every birthday party with what they call potato blessings, where each guest holds a spud and whispers a wish into it before tossing it into a basket. Legend says the potatoes absorb good vibes, though mostly they just end up mashed by dinner. 90. In Arizona, a family celebrates Halloween by turning their entire house into a haunted maze, but it's themed after boring adult fears. Think Tax Office of Doom, the DMV dungeon, and endless group Zoom call. Honestly, more terrifying than any ghost story. 91. In Wisconsin, one family insists on toasting every single marshmallow individually, over a single candle. The record, 300 marshmallows in one night, with each one meticulously turned, toasted, and taste tested. It took 5 hours, 3 arguments, and a fire alarm before they finally gave up and made s'mores in the microwave. 92. In Massachusetts, a family celebrates Thanksgiving by creating a full-blown pilgrim musical, complete with homemade costumes, original songs, and interpretive dances. One year, cousin Matt tried to stage dive off the dining table mid-chorus and broke a gravy boat. The reviews? 5 stars for effort, 0 stars for choreography. 93. In Oklahoma, one family insists on holding a bacon parade every Christmas morning. They fry up pounds of bacon, march around the house waving it like flags, and toss crispy strips into the crowd, aka their hungry kids. It's messy, it's chaotic, and the dog hasn't stopped smiling since 2015. 94. In Pennsylvania, a family celebrates New Year's Eve with a countdown of regrets, where everyone lists the dumbest thing they did that year, starting at 10 and working down to the number 1 disaster. Last year's winner? Aunt Linda accidentally texting her boss a selfie in a onesie with the caption, "Bring snacks." Iconic. 95. In Utah, a family refuses to open birthday presents until they've all performed a group dance they saw on TikTok. No dance? No gifts? Last year's attempt at the Renegade ended in sprained ankles and a very confused UPS guy watching from the window. 96. In Nevada, there's a family that takes their love of Elvis to new heights every summer by hosting a Graceland Day. They dress up in full Elvis costumes, hold lip-sync battles, and eat nothing but fried peanut butter and banana sandwiches. The best part? Grandma wins the costume contest every single year. 97. In Iowa, a family kicks off every Easter by hiding their kids' baskets. But here's the twist. The baskets are buried in the backyard, and the kids have to dig them up like tiny sugar-fueled archaeologists. One year it rained, and the hunt turned into a full-blown mud wrestling match. Glorious. 98. In New Hampshire, one family insists on doing a reverse Christmas caroling night, where instead of going house to house singing songs, they stay home and yell compliments at people walking by. Nice scarf. Great boots. You're crushing life. The confused looks? Priceless. 99. In Georgia, a family refuses to set up their holiday lights until they've untangled last year's mess with no help from tools. Only bare hands and sheer stubbornness. One year it took 4 hours, a meltdown, and 2 emergency candy cane breaks. The lights looked terrible, but the victory was sweet. 100. In Wyoming, one family's Valentine's tradition is a massive heart attack, but not the medical kind. They cut out hundreds of paper hearts and tape them all over the neighbor's house in the dead of night. The twist? They've been doing it to the same neighbor for 12 years, and he still has no idea who's behind it. 101. In Maine, because how could we not end in Maine? There's a family that every summer caps off lobster season by burying a single lobster claw in their garden for good luck. They claim it blesses their crops. Honestly, it mostly blesses the neighborhood cats, who keep digging it up like some kind of seafood treasure hunt. That's a 101 reasons to feel a little more normal about your own family get-togethers. From lobsters in tiny hats to bacon flag parades, it's clear that Americans have turned family bonding into a full-contact sport of weirdness. Now it's your turn. What's the strangest or funniest family tradition you've ever experienced? Drop your wildest stories in the comments, and let's see who really wins the weird trophy. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and stick around. Because next time, we're cranking up the crazy with even more unbelievable American oddities.